I wanted to talk about manifestation. When I found out about the lie of the Bible and Jesus and all that, I was devastated, and it took me over a year to heal from depression. It was a huge loss, not only the Jesus loss, but the country that I thought I had that loss. And I had a tough time, man. And during that, I kept thinking, well, one of the things that prevented me from opening my mind and heart to more than that one book, of course, was my research, but I was fearful. I was fearful that I would lose that anointing. And then I thought, well, I felt that anointing, that spiritual power from the time I was born. So just because I used it for Jesus doesn't mean I gave it to him. And he's a nobody, so that doesn't matter. But I was really afraid. That was the most valuable thing I had. My spirit, it kept me right. It led me in the right direction. It showed me all kinds of things. I mean, I was like a lead investigator and uncovered all kinds of crapola only because of that. So I said, I've got to have truth because I can't live without freedom. And I only come around once. And I can't be beholden to anything that's not me. Unless, of course, it's the power that gives me the energy and directs me, in which case I'm all in. But that hasn't been an easy thing because I keep looking at God and he is a hurricane. He is a cyclone. He is a great flood. He is the cyclical nature. He is everything. So I'm not going to try and put him in any box or call him benevolent. But I will tell you this, that has been powerful for me. I've experienced a lot of miracles, things that are inexplainable. One time in the early 80s, I was working in Arlington making phone calls. I had a partner and we sold cemetery property and arrangements, and I made the calls, set up the appointments, processed everything, and my partner met with people. And so this particular night, I called up and the lady screamed at me and said, "Why are you calling me?" And I said, "I'm so sorry. What's wrong?" And she started just, oh my goodness, my daughter, she's in the hospital. No one knows what's wrong with her. They can't figure out what to do. I just came home to get something to eat and I'm exhausted and she's not going to make it and I can't breathe. And I just said, "Can I pray for you?" And she said, well, yeah. Well, I meant right then and there. And she meant, yeah, when I'm gone. And so I just said, "What hospital?" Well, lo and behold, it was one near me. And it was downtown. So I hung up with her and I was driven. I got my car, went downtown, went up to the 3rd ICU floor, and I stood there outside the doors until a doctor walked out and all this family came up to meet him, and I just had to assume it was that family. Anyway, when he came out, I snuck in and I marched right down, and at the very end, no one stopped me. At the very end, there she was, all in tubes all over, and her stomach was huge, and her face was all swollen, and she had the tubes, and all I could do was see her eyes. And I went over to the bed, and I knew I had just little time. And I looked at her, and there was that anointing. And I said, "You're not going to die. You're going to live. You're going to live and not die." And her eyes met mine, and she got it, I think. Anyway, I ran out of there, hightailed it home, and about 2 days later, I called the mother back. And it might have been 4 or 5 days or even a week. I don't remember. I did write it down, though, in my journal. And she said, "We had a we had a miraculous recovery. And she's coming home." And she gave her life to God. I think that is manifestation. When we walk in the power, instead of talk about it,